They'll be saints, but they won't be the bride. And the distinction is that the saints that are saved after the rapture in the tribulation will be serving the Lord at the throne, but we as the bride will be seated with the Lord on the throne. And therein lies the distinction. So somebody says, well, I'm just going to wait till you guys all disappear, if it's really true, and then I'm going to get right with God. Okay, be my guest, quite literally, because you're going to be my wedding guest. Is that cruel? Is that bad? Is that wrong? Not very pastoral or loving, is it? I know, but I'm just a mean guy. Okay, now here's the thing. The communion table. This was a bridal celebration at the engagement because, see, when the bride accepted the cup, she was saying, I do. Yes, I will marry you. And that's what the communion table meant. To anyone who hears the message of the basar, or the gospel, it is a wedding proposal by God to accept him and be a part of his bride. God desires that we accept his invitation and give him our response of I do. In fact, Revelation 22:20 is a proposal by Yeshua himself to accept him and be a part of his bride. His message in this verse is come. The way the bride said I do was to take the cup and break the bread. The way I say I do to the Messiah's marriage proposal is to partake of his cup and broken bread. See, it was a common union. No longer two, we become one. See, in my culture, in the Arab culture, I'll just share this real quickly and we'll move on. Everything is centered around food. This is why the wedding feast is so exciting to me. I can't wait for the food. It's going to be delicious and fat-free and no cholesterol, nothing. But everything is centered around food. See, in the Arab thought, if you break bread at a table with an Arab, you are now loyal to that friend till death. And the thought is that when you eat of the same bread, that bread that's in you is the same bread that's in me. When you drink, when I was a kid, man, I used to get freaked out when I would see my uncles come over. My dad, my mom, and my aunties would spend months preparing this feast. And they would have this, rice that you would eat with your hands. By the way, we're very, I'll never forget when I took my precious bride to meet my folks for the first time when we were engaged. And I was already apologizing to her, saying, okay, now, listen, we don't do things the way you do in our, you have to understand, in our country it is, I was trying to, prepare her because I knew it was going to be a shock to her when she got there. And sure enough, we're sitting around the table and we eat with our hands. And they have this rice dish and at weddings. And I'll never forget the first wedding as a kid that was, one of my Arab family members. And the men would all hover around this huge mound of rice and stick their hands and stuff their face and eat. I mean, that is just disgusting. And the hummus and the baba ganoush and all those, and then the bread, the unleavened bread or the pita bread, and you break the bread and you dip it in they double dip. And, you ready for this? They drink from the same cup. And they eat from the same. When Jesus was there, please don't sanitize and tidy up the Lord's Supper. Picture them there and forget this painting where they're sitting around this table. My goodness, perish the thought. They're on the floor, reclining at the table, eating with their hands. Look at these nice little cups. And Jesus takes the bread and he breaks it and he says, here, same piece of bread, because those germs that are in you are the same germs that are in me because we're a common union. One last thing. I had my mom's side of the family, we had a family feud. You don't want Arabs having a family feud. It is really not a pretty picture. Lasted for 7 years. And then finally it was time to come together and make a reconciliation. So they planned this huge feast to resolve this feud, to come together once again, reconcile, and have a common union. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And what that did was it sort of sealed the deal. You know, when Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin with then President Bill Clinton on the White House lawn in September of 1993 signed the Oslo Peace Accord? It meant nothing to the Arab. You know why? Because Rabin did not break bread with Arafat. They never ate. Anwar Sadat of Egypt did. That's why he was assassinated. See? Because I'm loyal now to the death. Why? Because we ate together. And that's what Jesus was saying. Because we eat together. Here, eat. This is my body broken for you. In my death for you. See? I want to talk about the pre-tribulation rapture. And why I know, that's cute. It's not enough to just know what you believe. It's important to know why you believe what you believe. Now, I was reading a book that Don Stewart sent me called The Rapture. And at the beginning of the book, he's really, Don's a great guy, good friend. Just talks about how, we need to be respectful towards other believers who do not hold to a pre-tribulation rapture belief. And I certainly don't want to sound militant, and I know sometimes I can be guilty of that, accused. What? Am I that bad? But I am passionately dogmatic about why the rapture has to be before the 7-year tribulation. Now, I'm not going to have the time tonight to go into all the reasons why, but I do want to talk to you about the typology in the scriptures, beginning with Daniel, who was pre-furnace, if I can say it that way. Now look at the parallels here, okay? You have Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are a picture of the Jews, whereas Daniel is a picture of the church. Here's why, and here's how. This takes place in Babylon. There are 2 last days Babylons, Revelation chapter 17 and chapter 18. One is an economic Babylon, one's an ecclesiastical Babylon, or a religious Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar makes an image. The Antichrist will make an image. The measurements of Nebuchadnezzar's image are 6 cubits high by 6 cubits wide, with 6 instruments that are listed there, and the number of the name of the man, the Antichrist, in Revelation 13 is to be counted, and it too will add up to 666. The 6 instruments are played, then they are to worship the image of Nebuchadnezzar. Lucifer was the angel of music, and music will play a role in the worship of the image of the beast. All the rulers of every nation and tongue are united together in one religion in ancient Babylon. All the world will come together and be united under a one world religion in the new Babylon. 3 Jews refuse to worship the image of gold. The Jews will reject the worship of the image of the Antichrist in the tribulation, when he sets up his image and demands to be worshipped in the newly rebuilt temple. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go into the fiery furnace, just as Israel will go into the fiery hot tribulation. The furnace is turned up 7 times hotter. The tribulation lasts for 7 years. An angel like the Son of God protects them in the fire. Jesus, the Son of God, will protect them, the Jews, in the tribulation. After rejecting the false worship, they see their true and living God. So too will the Jew in the tribulation, after rejecting the worship of the Antichrist, accept the true and living Christ, their Messiah.